Hi again, data and decision students. Welcome to your first peer learning session for real world math. Congratulations on doing a fantastic job on your self work. I've read through it and you will find reports in your peer learning guide. Before I get into more detail for this peer learning session, I'd like to recap a little bit our learning process for this week and remind you where you are. So if you remember, we started with a discovery class on Monday that we worked on Mobius motors together. Then you worked on your self-learning section, which was both CBM and OLI, and that was on Monday and Tuesday. You're now here in your peer learning session. Today's Wednesday. And after this, you will be getting into a class on Friday. If you remember, we talked about a project that was going to be the common thread across all our 4 weeks for the Learning Lab. Now, the part one for this project, and there are 4 parts in total, 1 part every week. The part one for this project is due Saturday at midnight. You will receive the project assignment. In fact, it should be up by the time you finish your peer group session on D2L. Yeah. So let's get into this section here, the peer learning session, which is why you're here today. Now, this peer learning session will last 90 minutes. The guide for your peer learning session will be found in your email inboxes. There is a generic guide in your D2L, but the specific guide for your peer group can be found in your africanleadershipuniversity.com Gmail. The reason I've sent it separately is because it contains a self-report that includes the performance across the major concepts and skills that you worked on for every member of your group. It is very transparent, but please take it in the spirit of development. And transparency is good because you guys are working together in a peer group and submitting things together. Now, in this peer learning session, you have to complete 2 main things. 2. The first one is reworking specific elements of CBM and OLI with your peers in order to bridge gaps in understanding in the concepts and skills that some individuals might have. Now, these gaps can be identified in your self-report. It's quite specific in terms of which member of your peer group is fully or partially understanding the concepts and skills, and which members have significant gaps. The way you can rework specific areas of focus of CBM and OLI is by looking at a table which maps the skills and the lessons, and that is right in your peer guide. In this first section of the peer learning session, everything is optional. This is your session, and based on your report, we expect that you will help each other bridge gaps in understanding on the skills and concepts. Now, the second part, and probably the more important part, is around submitting a peer assignment together. This peer assignment is due at the end of this session, and you will be asked to work together and submit one joint group submission that you've all agreed to. This peer assignment will be presented at the start of the Friday class. So each team will stand up and present their solution to the peer assignment, and we'll use that to start the learning in our faculty session on Friday. So, as I said, 2 things to work on. It's your session. I won't be there at your session. Well, I might be walking around, but I will not be around to answer your questions. I hope everything is okay. Please remember to submit the survey at the end of the session. The survey is in 2 parts, one for facilitator and one for the peer group member. And like you did in the project class, you will be expected to nominate a facilitator, and that facilitator will read the facilitator guide, which is exactly the same as for projects. So I hope everything's clear, and I hope you have a good 90 minutes. Good luck.